This is a story about how Jesus healed a blind man. And it talks about how Jesus did it, what process he took, and the steps he took, and it's a very interesting story. Just a simple story, but we learn a lot. So Mark chapter 8, verses, starting from verse 22. Mark chapter 8, verse 22. And he came to Bethsaida, and they bring a blind man unto him, and besought him to touch him. And he took the blind man by the hand, and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes, and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw. And then in verse 24, and he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. Verse 25, after that he put his hands again upon his eyes and made him look up. And he was restored and saw every man clearly. Amen. So, what happened is, Jesus was in Bethsaida. There's a little town, Bethsaida, and some people brought a blind man to him. They brought him to Jesus, and so it says that they besought him. Some versions say they begged him. They requested Jesus to heal the blind man. So what Jesus did was, he took the blind man by hand. He took him by hand and he led him out of town. The blind man. So we see this, imagine this picture, this blind man and Jesus walking through town. So we go to Suva, and sometimes we see blind people standing at the lights, they want to cross, and sometimes they wait there. Sometimes some people help them across the road. You can see Jesus did the same thing. यीशु मसीह इस अंधा आदमी को हाथ से लेकर टाउन के बाहर ले गया. ये लोग आए उसके लगे और कहा, यीशु मसीह के लगे और कहा कि इस आदमी को चंगा कर दो, ये अंधा आदमी. तो यीशु मसीह सेम टाइम नहीं उसकी चंगा करी, बट उसके हाथ पकड़ के इसके लेकर बाहर टाउन से बाहर ले गया चंगा करे के लिए. तो what we see in this scenario, there's a few things that we can learn. कुछ 2-3 चीज हम सीख सकते हैं. पहला चीज कि यीशु मसीह का इतना प्रेम है और दया है कि वो तुम्हारे साथ, वो तुम्हारा हाथ पकड़ कर तुम्हें ले जा सकता है, तुम्हारा चंगाई के लिए, तुम्हारा नया जीवन के लिए, तुम्हें जो कुछ तुम्हें ज़रूरी है उसको पूरा करने के लिए. वो इतना प्रेम है कि वो तुम्हारा हाथ पकड़ कर, जिसे हम बच्चे लोग को हाथ पकड़ कर चलाते, क्योंकि वो जानता है कहाँ ले जाना है, क्या करना है. So Jesus shows that he loves and cares so much, enough to hold our hand and take us where we need to go. Because for him to do a miracle in our lives, for him to achieve something in our lives, he loves us so much enough to hold our hands and take us there. And he takes us through situations. There's a story behind Bethsaida. You can go and research it. Why Jesus took him out of Bethsaida, out of the town. He could have healed him there. यीशु मसीह सकत रहा उसकी चंगाई वहीं जहाँ पर हाँ टाउन में बेथसाइदा में वहीं पर सकत रहा कर दें, लेकिन एक कहानी है उसके पीछे क्यों यीशु मसीह बाहर ले गया। लेकिन हम अगर अपने जीवन में अभी इस समय लागू करें तो हम चाहे जैसे स्थिति में, बीमारी में, गरीबी में, बोझ में, प्रॉब्लम, समस्या, यीशु मसीह अगर हम उसको मौका दे वो हमारे हाथ पकड़ के उससे बाहर ले जाएगा। हमें जीसस takes us out of the situation, whichever situation we are in. This town represented something that this person, this blind man, was stuck in. While he was there, he wouldn't be able to receive what Christ was willing to give. So he had to take him out of the situation. So whichever situation you are in sickness, in problems and difficulties, loneliness, it doesn't matter. When you ask Jesus to do something for you, He will take you by hand and He will take you away from the situation, away from that area or that place, so He can do that miracle. जब तक यीशु मसीह तुम्हें ले जाए नहीं दूसर जगह, वो चंगाई आपकी मिली नहीं, वो जो आश्चर्यकरम, वो मिरेकल, वो जो चीज़ आपको ज़रूरी है वो मिल नहीं पाएगा जब तक यीशु मसीह आपको ले जाएगा नहीं। और दूसरा चीज़ हम देखते हैं कि ये अंधा आदमी, इसके दिखाई नहीं कुछ, राइट, और यीशु मसीह एक स्ट्रेंजर है, कोई उसकी चीने नहीं है, लेकिन वो ये अंधा आदमी वो नहीं बोलिस कि नहीं हम नहीं जाएगा तुम्हारे संगे, नहीं हाथ नहीं दी, हाथ खींच लीस, लेकिन वो इतना भरोसा करा यीशु मसीह पर कि उसके हाथ पकड़ ले लिस और टाउन के बाहर ले गए। So what the other thing we learn from here is the blind man, he could have easily said no, I don't want to go, because Jesus is a stranger. He probably didn't know Jesus. He could have just said no, I don't want to go, I don't trust you. But in the Bible it says that Jesus held the man's hand and led him, and the blind man was happy to go with Jesus. He trusted him enough to go through the town. We don't know, over here there's footpath and all that, no? But at that time there was mud and sand and gravel, we don't know. But the blind man easily followed Jesus out of town. So the thing we learn here is we have to be willing to be led by Jesus wherever He takes us. हमें रेडी रहना चाहिए जहाँ यीशु मसीह हमें ले जाना चाहता है। अगर चंगाई ज़रूरी है, अगर कुछ मुसीबत या जो कुछ भी आपके ज़रूरी है यीशु मसीह से आप चाहते हो, जब तक आप अपने आप को हवाले नहीं करेगा उसके, और जहाँ यीशु मसीह आपको ले जाना चाहता है अगर आप उसके साथ में नहीं होएगा तब वो चंगाई पूरा नहीं होगा, वो जो आपके ज़रूरी है वो पूरा होगा नहीं। यीशु मसीह आपके जीवन में कुछ आश्चर्य कर नहीं पाएगा। तो आपको ज़रूरी है कि यीशु मसीह को अपने हाथ देने का, कि वो जहाँ वो ले जाना चाहता है, आप नहीं, लेकिन जहाँ यीशु मसीह आपको ले जाना चाहता है आप जा सके। So the thing was here, it was Jesus who led the man, not the blind man telling where I want to go. Jesus took him there. If you read the Bible, it doesn't say where Jesus doesn't tell him where he's going. He just took his hand and led him out. So we have to be willing. If we need that miracle, if we need God's blessing, we have to let Him lead us to where He wants us to go, not where we want us to go. So that's one thing, that's the other thing that we learn from this. And so when the blind man trusted Jesus enough to go to where Jesus was, Jesus healed him. यीशु मसीह उसको चंगा कर दिया। जब वो खुशहाली से अपन मन से यीशु मसीह के पीछे पीछे गया, It's the same when we see some blind people on the street here in Suva. If someone they want to cross the road now, जब अंधे आदमी रास्ता cross करे मांगता है, I've seen. In fact, I have helped some people cross the road as well. तो अगर कोई आवे और उसके हाथ पकड़ के ले जाए मांगी, एंड अगर वो नहीं मांगी क्रॉस करें, बोली हम तुम्हें नहीं जानता है, तब वो उधर जा नहीं पाए ना. If the blind man says no, I don't know you, how will he cross the road? He's expecting someone to help him cross the road. So it's the same way with Jesus. We have to trust him. उसका पूरा भरोसा करना है. Trust Jesus because he knows what he's doing. We have to let him choose where he is taking us. वहीं पर चंगाई है, वहीं पर आराम है, वहीं पर शांति है, जहाँ यीशु मसीह हमें लेके जाना चाहता है. हमें पूरा दिल से उसके भरोसा करना है, अपने जीवन को उसको देना है. We have to give our life to him, surrender fully. Then if we are holding back, if we are pulling back, then he won't be able to take us. So that's all I wanted to share with you today is we were blind. Those who have accepted Jesus Christ, we had this similar story. We were in a bad state. We didn't know where we were going. Everything was dark in front of us. But when we accept Jesus, when we let Jesus come into our lives, he touches us, he removes all the darkness. So we are able to see. यीशु मसीह वही चीज़ करता है हमारे जीवन में. हम अंधे जब हम उसको पहचानते नहीं, जब हमारे जीवन में यीशु मसीह नहीं है, तब हम वो अंधा आदमी स्टाइल है, कुछ दिखाई नहीं है, कहीं जाता है, इधर उधर भटकता है हम. लेकिन जब हम यीशु मसीह को अपने जीवन को सौंप देते हैं, हमारे जो अंधकार है वो अंधापन सब हटा देता है और हमें जीवन देता है, नया जीवन, हमें ज्योति देता है, जब हम सब चीज़ देख सकते हैं. उसके साथ साथ चंगाई मिलता है, शांति मिलता है, जो कोई लोग नहीं दे पाएगा. तो इसमें यही हम आपसे मैसेज मतलब शेयर करें कि हमें पूरा भरोसा करना है यीशु मसीह. We have to fully submit and surrender and trust Jesus that he will do what he wants. And just one final thought that I want to share here. That's in verse 22. It says that, and they brought a blind man to Jesus. So what happened is, few people brought this blind man to Jesus. ये कुछ आदमी लोग इस अंधा आदमी को यीशु मसीह के पास लाया. तो मैं एक लास्ट चीज़ ये मतलब शेयर करें कि जब तक कोई कि आप यीशु मसीह के पास लायक नहीं, वो कैसे जाने? If we don't bring someone who is in need to Jesus, how will he receive his healing? How will he get to know Jesus? So just one last thing कि अगर हम यीशु मसीह के जानते हैं, पहचाना है, अगर हमें चंगाई मिला है और हम देखते हैं कि कोई की ज़रूरी है यीशु मसीह को, कोई मुसीबत में है, कोई चंगाई की ज़रूरत है, हमारा कर्तव्य होता है कि हम उसको यीशु मसीह के पास लेके आए. जैसे बाइबल में ये लोग उस अंधा आदमी को यीशु मसीह के पास लाए. तो just want to share that last thing, that it is our duty to see if someone is in need, we bring them to Jesus. And from there, Jesus will take the hand and lead him where he needs to go. यीशु मसीह वहाँ से, हमारा काम खाली उस आदमी को लेके आओ यीशु मसीह के पास, वहाँ से यीशु मसीह अपना काम पूरा करेगा.